Hello, let us take a quick look at graph analytics. So, in the data analytics class, till now we have assumed that we have structured data that fits neatly into a table, a spreadsheet, or a database table, right? But data could have more complex structure to it. As you know, one of the most complex data structures is a graph, right? A graph you can use graphs to model almost all other data structures, including lists, queues, and arrays, and so on, trees. And graphs also have other variants. There is multi-graph, hypergraph, and so on. We will look at basic graphs and how we can apply analytics along with the principles of graph theory to analyze data that is in the form of a graph. And later I will illustrate this by converting the epic Ramayana into a graph, and what we can discover about the stories in Ramayana by applying graph analytics. So, if you remember from graph theory or data structures, a graph G is made up of two components, a set of vertices or nodes and a set of edges, and we assume an edge is binary, that is, it goes from one vertex to another vertex. Graphs can be directed or undirected, and there are things called paths and cycles in graphs, and there are also ideas like connected components and cliques, right. So, we will you do not need to know really the details of graph theory or some of the graph algorithms like the shortest path algorithms and so on to understand graph analytics at a basic level, right. So, what are the kinds of things that we measure and analyze in graph analytics? So, there is the idea of a diameter of a graph, right. So, the diameter of a graph is actually defined as the length of the longest shortest path. So, that could be a little confusing. So, you take the shortest path between every two vertices in the graph, assuming it is a connected graph. So, there is this all pairs shortest paths algorithm. You find all the shortest paths between any two pairs of nodes. The longest of those shortest paths is called the diameter of the graph, and if you do text analytics in combination with graph analytics, you can actually show, for example, that a more complex story like Mahabharata has a longer diameter, larger diameter than a story like Ramayana, right. So, there are other measures of centrality like degree centrality, closeness centrality, eigenvector centrality, betweenness centrality, and we will see some of those as we go along, right. So, the idea of a center or centrality is very important in graph analytics. It helps us find the important players in a game, important and influential nodes in a social network, or some other notion of a key player or an influential player in a graph, right, in whatever real world domain we have represented as a graph. So, a central one shows importance of some kind for the node, right. So, the simplest idea of centrality is degree centrality, like how many edges are incident at that node, how many connections are there for a node. So, if you see a social network graph, then the number of friends you have indicates your degree centrality, right. The number of web pages linking to a page indicates the degree centrality of that web page, and so on, right. So, in other domains as well, right, the city railway station or the town hall and so on tend to be the centers of a town or city. So, the degree centrality is nothing but the number of the degree centrality of vertex Vi is nothing but the number of edges that are incident at that node. So, a central node will have more edges incident, that is the idea of degree centrality, but that in itself is not very meaningful or may not be the real center of a graph. So, a number of edges incident at the vertex. High degree centrality means it is more central, right, it is a sort of a hub. Betweenness centrality is more complex. It tries to find you those vertices which are the connectors, right? They are between other components of the graph. So, as shown in this diagram here, the degree centrality is very high for a node at the center of the left part, right? That has got a degree centrality of 6. But this particular node has only, the one that is circled has only a degree centrality of 3, but it has a very high betweenness centrality, in the sense it is it connects the left part of the graph to the right part. So, this kind of an analysis is very useful in analyzing corporate networks, social networks, email traffic data, and so on. Who are the key participants which are communicating between different corporate units, business units? Those kinds of analysis can be done. So, essentially it denotes the bridges or the nodes that span these different parts, right. So, it is defined as the proportion of all pair shortest paths passing through the node, right. So, if you consider the shortest path from any node to every other node in the graph, what portion of those are passing through this node, right. If it is a critical bridge and all the paths are passing through this, that will have a very high betweenness centrality. Otherwise, it has a lower betweenness centrality. There are other measures also. There is the closeness centrality, right. It is inversely proportional to the distances in the graph. So, you take the mean length of the shortest path from that node to every other node. So, that gives you the idea of closeness centrality. The diameter of a graph we already talked about as the length of the longest shortest path, right. So, let us there is one more eigenvector centrality, which is especially useful in identifying influential characters in a social network, right. So, you apply the idea of the eigenvector to the nodes in the graph based on the edges, and then you find that some nodes have higher eigenvector centrality than others. So, let us apply this to our epic story of Ramayana. So, there is a process for converting the Ramayana text to a graph. I will cover more of that in the text analytics module of this course. For now, we will just superficially see how the text is converted to a graph. We do not do any language processing or natural language understanding or anything. In fact, there is no dictionary also, and this such a conversion does not attempt to even understand or parse the sentences in that text, right. But our idea is to arrive at a graph where the nodes are the characters in the story and the relationships between the characters are the edges in the graph, right. So, if we construct a graph like this, every circle here is one of the characters in the Ramayana story and the edges refer to their relationships. But how do we construct that? So, you could now once you have the graph, you could zoom in, you could traverse it, you can look at all the edges or which is the core component of it, and so on and so forth. So, the essential idea was, we took the English translation, it had about 1,24,000 words, and then we apply an extremely simple technique. If two characters are mentioned within a window, right, of say 250 words, then we assume there is a relationship between them. So, it is like within half a page, if two names are mentioned, we assume they are related, and every time such a mention occurs, we add 1 to that strength of that relation, right. That is the brute force simplest possible method without doing any natural language processing. So, we found that there are about 64 main characters and about 200 important edges in this Ramayana graph. So, now you get a matrix, essentially it is a adjacency matrix for this graph, where the number in the matrix, the entry in each cell is the number of times that particular pair of characters co-occurred in the text of Ramayana. They were mentioned together within a window of 250 words, right. And we find, if you analyze that now as the thickness or the strength of the relationship, thickness of the edge, the most common relationship is between Rama and Sita. 2720 times they were mentioned together. Next is Lakshmana and Rama, Rama and Ravana, and so on. So, these are the 12 strongest relations in the Ramayana graph. Now, if we start computing centrality, the center of the graph is either Rama or Lakshmana, right? And in fact, Rama and Sita and Lakshmana, they figure in as top in all the possible measures. If you look at degree centrality, Rama has 87.5%, Sita is 46, Lakshmana is 43, because Rama's degree centrality is 56, right? He's directly connected to 56 other characters in this story. Now, if we compute betweenness centrality, something interesting comes out. Again, Rama is high, but the second highest betweenness centrality is Hanuman. So, Hanuman is the linking character in this story. He is the one who brings all the other characters together. And this is not based on any knowledge or understanding of the story, it is purely based on graph analytics. And in fact, nobody else even has half of the degree betweenness centrality that Hanuman has except Rama, right? So, Sita is 6.69, which is less than half of the 14.54 that we got for Hanuman. So, he is a connecting character. Similarly, if we compute all the other measures for Hanuman, he has the highest betweenness centrality after Rama, third highest eigenvector centrality after Rama and Sita, fourth in degree centrality, fourth in closeness centrality, and so on. So, that is the mathematically the role of Hanuman in the story of Ramayana. We can find that by applying graph analytics, right. So, if you now look at the top 10 influential characters in the story in terms of eigenvector centrality, you see Rama, Sita, Hanuman, Lakshmana, Ravana, Sugriva, and then some of the other important ones come up. Vibhishana is the 8th most influential, Dasharatha is 9th, Kaikeyi is 10th, right. So, you get all of the influential characters do come up. Right. If you look at Kaikeyi, for example, she is lower in others. She is 19th in terms of closeness centrality, but she is one of them, 34th in some other measures, but she is one of the top 10 influential characters in the story. Right. Similarly, you can do the analysis for other characters, Sugriva and Ravan and so on. Right. One last technique that is very useful in graphs is there are algorithms for identifying cliques. Clique, as you may remember, is a subgraph where every node is connected to every other node. There is an edge from every node to every other node. In a real graph, you may not find a complete clique, but there are well connected components, subgraphs that are very highly connected among all those nodes. So, if we apply that algorithm, we automatically find sub stories, right, the upakathas as they are called, and without understanding and without doing language processing. So, we found a sub story for Rama, Manthara, Bharata, Kaikeyi and Dasharatha, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana and Shurpanaka, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, Vishwamitra, Dasharatha and Janaka, Sampati, Hanuman and Jatayu. So, all Trishanku and Vishwamitra, all of these known important sub stories of the Ramayana story can be actually found out simply by doing graph analytics. So, graph analytics is a very powerful set of techniques, and it has been used heavily in doing corporate intelligence, trying to find out how the communication and knowledge exchange is happening within a company, knowledge management, and in understanding terrorist networks, how they collaborate, how the funding happens, in all of those kinds of national security, terrorism, corporate affairs and so on. It is very useful to do. Apply this and of course, in social network analysis, we can apply these graph analytics measures.